I said showing myself finally to you.
Finally, yes. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks.
Should we just remind everyone they have to join? I will be recording this session as well.
Are we live yet? Not. Or
Yes, yes, almost. Yep, we're live. Actually, we are.
Okay. Priya, you seem to be in the office. Is it?
We're in the command center.
Are you working from home, Seema? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm still continuing with work from home for the time being.
And where are you based?
The office is in Delhi. I'm based in Gurgaon.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sandy.
You're waiting for a couple more people?
Yes, she's not able to log on, she's saying.
Okay.
I'm going to have to try and help.
Okay.
Hi, Sandhya.
Hi, Seema. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. We are looking forward to your session.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today.
It's a pleasure.
While we are waiting, Ritu, you're muted.
Yes, Sandhya.
Yeah, we have 3 others who have to join us, right?
Yes, we have Nirupa, Ritu, and Kadambani. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Should we start with the 2 panelists who are here right now?
Yes, I'm happy to. Then we all get the right amount of time to discuss more meaningful matters.
Exactly.
So
Okay,
let's
we
start,
have
Sandhya.
Nirupa.
Oh,
who's-
we have Nirupa.
Yes, yes, we have Nirupa. So once she comes in, I'll give a brief introduction of Ritu Chawla Mathur, and we
Thank
can
you.
then begin. Yeah.
Right.
So, hi, I'm Sandhya Rao, and it is my pleasure and privilege to be the MC for this session. Powerful session. So I'm having to read out the
I've got
name.
it checked. It's saying my speaker's not working.
We can hear you.
But I can't hear them.
Oh, nobody else is talking, only I am talking.
One second.
Can you hear me?
Let me try a different method.
Okay, we'll just wait a minute or a few seconds. Right. That the topic of this session is travel and tourism, resurrection, unleashing the power of women, unleashing the power of women leadership to create the new normal. I wrote it down because I didn't want to mess up. I said I have to read it. Ritu has taken time and effort to create such a powerful topic for this session. So Ritu Chawla Mathur, a dear friend, is the managing partner of Prognosis Global Consulting. She has over 25 years of industry experience with the Taj and Marriott. And now she helps, advises them to build and create new hotels and resorts. The description, the introduction is brief, Ritu, because I don't want to cut into the discussion time. I will hand it over to you to introduce the other guests. And I would be happy if you were to send me the numbers to help the others join the session.
Right.
Thank you. And it's over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandhya.
I'll come in about 5 minutes before the end, which means it is your cue to wind up. And me to have the privilege of announcing the awards. Thank you all. Carry on. Right.
I'm going to wait just another minute for Kadambani as well as Ritu. And then I will start with the introductions. Nirupa, you can hear us now? Hi, Ritu. Welcome. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Ritu.
Okay, super. We're just waiting for Nirupa to confirm she can hear us. Hi, great to see you. Okay, I think I'm going to start so that, you know, by the time the others join in, I'm sure we'll reach the introduction. So welcome to the first Digital Women Economic Forum 2020. It's my privilege to introduce an all-ladies panel, which is absolutely by design in a very patriarchal industry of ours. And I'm delighted to start with the introduction of Nirupa Shankar. Nirupa is the Executive Director of Brigade Enterprise and has spent the last 10 years at the Brigade Group, one of the India's top 10 real estate developers. She oversees the company's hotel, office, and retail portfolios. And apart from that, Nirupa has the serial entrepreneur bug in her and loves to write and is passionate about fitness. So welcome, Nirupa. Moving on to Seema Roy. Seema is the Area Managing Director for South Asia, Middle East, and Africa for Preferred Hotels and Resorts. Seema, since 2010, oversees hotel retention and development efforts of this soft brand's growing portfolio in this region. Previously, she had various positions with Intercon, the Oberois, and the Imperial New Delhi. Welcome, Seema. We have Ritu Mehrotra, the Country Manager, India, Sri Lanka, and Maldives at Booking.com India. Ritu is a versatile professional and has adapted her skills to HR, marketing, sales, and prior to this, she has also gained experience by reaching senior leadership positions in some very exciting companies like Zomato, Pacific Global, Mahindra Bristlecone. We're excited to engage with you today, Ritu. Priya Vishwanathan, General Manager Operations for Amma Stays and Trails, the Indian hotel company and Taj's latest baby brand in homestays. Priya has worked all her professional career with Indian Hotels Company in various roles in operations in India and UK. And her stint in operations is supplemented by more than a decade-long initiative in driving business excellence at the Tata Group level. I've had the privilege and pleasure of working with Priya in my days in Taj. Hi, Nirupa.
I had a few technical glitches.
Yes, it's a digital conference. I think it's all acceptable. So anyway, I just finished your introduction, but I'm glad we can see you now. Kadambari Mittal. Hi, Kadambari. Welcome. Kadambari is the general manager of the Bangalore Whitefield Marriott Hotel. And before taking on this operational role, she was the senior area director, sales and distribution, South Asia for the group. So I'm so delighted today to bring to you a panel of women who are going to share their counter views and counter narrative from the perspective of the women leadership in the travel and hospitality. So without much ado, let's start. As an introduction, I guess today we're meeting at a time when the world is actually really struggling and wrestling with the unprecedented implications of COVID. And the $9 trillion travel and tourism industry has just come to a pause, an absolute full stop. And millions have stopped or delayed their travels, you know, whether on business or leisure. Hospitality businesses continue to incur fixed costs with no revenues. Each one of us in different parts of the world is witnessing a human crisis unlike we've ever seen before. And for travel, tourism, and hospitality and food services industry, it's been like experiencing a continuous wave of, you know, tsunamis where each subsequent year has just been big, you know, worse than the other. But, and the markets, particularly in India in the last 5 years, we were seeing some great recovery. There were RevPAR growths and things seem to be, you know, just improving. And now, you know, it seems like just yesterday we were sailing smooth waters and today we are witnessing these darkest clouds. So given this scenario, I think WEF has put together, you know, stakeholders from the travel and tourism industry to debate the way in which we can actually change the narrative and rebuild the industry ground upwards, and that's resurrection, you know. So ladies, while we've all are putting our survival and revival plans in motion, however, the world at large, you know, the travelers, the tourists, are yet to hear from all of us that how have we aligned to meet their new challenges, their new needs, their new behaviors? Are we ready for the new normal, you know? Because it's definitely time for change. It's time for resurrection and creating this new normal. So in the next 40 minutes, what I'm hoping to do is discuss in detail the travel and tourism resurrection, unleashing the power of women leadership to create this new normal. And time permitting, we'd be happy to take a few questions at the end of this session. So I'm going to start with something that will get all of us on a level playing field. Pretty much our audience are all consumers. I mean, everybody is a consumer of the industry at some point. And, you know, I'm going to try and understand from each of your perspectives, where do you see the revival of the hospitality and travel industry to begin? Which of the segments would you say should start traveling? So I'm going to start with Seema. Seema, in your global role, you know, you handle South Asia, Middle East, Africa. I'm sure there are trends you see emerging in the new normal for regions that are ahead of the curve, you know. As learnings, what would you advise travelers to do today?
Thank you, Ritu. Firstly, thanks for having me on the panel. It's a privilege to be among such accomplished women and you know, such a great panel. So thank you for that and for a generous introduction there. So in terms of, you know, I think, and everyone's looking at what the revival would look like, what segments would start to travel first. There's a lot that's been said. There's a lot that we are seeing, that there's a lot that we are learning from some other parts of the world that have been ahead of us, let's say, in the curve. You know, I think in terms of certain things changing, like the new normal that you said, you know, whether it's the new normal or it's the interim normal, you know, some changes that we are seeing today are probably going to be short to, you know, midterm versus some of the others that might be here, you know, for a longer stint. They may stay forever. I think things like our increased focus on safety and hygiene is probably going to stay for a longer period. On the other hand, you know, trends like expectation on flexibility, that may be a short to medium term change because, you know, hotels would probably start to go back to running normal business. In terms of trends, I think what was already happening, we did see a bit of a surge in, you know, in demand towards residential, you know, style lodging. Which was already, this was already a trend, and I think the pandemic is only going to expedite it even further. You know, in terms of people wanting to take holidays as you know, as families, as groups of friends, etc. You know, wanting to, in fact, buy out friendly properties, smaller boutique properties that you can buy out for yourselves and be, you know, still have that privacy and sense of space. You know, so in terms of, I think, product, that's one area of, that's one trend that we are seeing that's probably going to get accelerated post-pandemic, which was already there, but now I think it's just going to get accelerated. In terms of segments, I think what we've learned and what we've seen from across the globe right now, I think all of us are witnessing that the surge is probably going to start with leisure. It's going to be more on the leisure side, perhaps more on the luxury leisure space where, people still have the affordability to travel and haven't been impacted severely, from a financial point of view. A multi-generation family travel is going to be on the rise. We've all been cooped up in our houses and, everyone's looking forward to spending some quality time with extended family, with friends. So that's again an increased trend. Initially it started where people could drive in the safety of their own cars, but now with some domestic traveler opening up in a lot of markets, whether they take flights, trains, we do see a lot of domestic leisure demand supporting the recovery phase in the initial bit. On the business side, I think it's going to be essential. We all know safety of their people, duty of care, most important for corporate travel managers in today's day and age. And then on top of that, companies have reduced budgets. So, I think business travel is going to perhaps remain mostly on essential basis for the time being. But on the leisure side, like I said, in terms of increased demand for residential kind of accommodation, for smaller properties, buyouts, family travel, etc., would probably, this is what we've seen in other parts of the world, and we're hoping, it's probably going to be similar.
I'm going to now reach out to Ritu. Ritu, as head of Booking.com for this region, you validate some of the thoughts Seema has, and what do you actually see as some of the emerging trends yourself on online booking patterns? And would you agree some segments are performing better than the other? Yes, like to hear your view.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Ritu. And it's fantastic to be here amongst all of you today, first of all.
Thank you.
So totally, I think some of the points Seema has made, we would totally agree. I would totally agree with it as well. And, you have to see as different countries are in different, times of the recovery phase as well. And there are very typical trends that we're seeing. And also, I think travel is who we are. So there is a direct proportional as and when we see that the economies and countries are coming up, travel starts to show up as well. One very interesting thing that we're seeing is sustainable travel, right? So because people have realized the importance of our actions on the society and also on the nature. And something that we're seeing that, more and more people are opting for more sustainable options to travel. And I think Booking has been in the forefront to be able to provide that. That's the first thing. Second is that technology is going to play a very, very important role. We know that hygiene and safety will be one of the key thoughts that people will have because it's the fight of confidence. Most people want to know, is it safe for me to travel? Hence, I think that's where technology can play a very, very big role. In fact, we just introduced, one of the features in Booking.com where hotel partners can actually opt in for different kinds of safety features, includes social distancing or how they're preparing the food in the kitchen and so on and so forth. So I think that would be another very, very important point, when travelers are going to be traveling. Third, I think, is nimbleness of the industry and how frequently, flexible policies, because, people are still not sure how and when to travel. Something that we're also seeing is, either these are very long haul windows that people are booking their holidays, or it's very quick, right? One day, something that we haven't seen in the past.
That's
also, when you look at the segments, we're seeing that alternative accommodation where, we have villas and tree houses, boat houses, and those kinds of things where people can have their own privacy is also something that's coming up in a big way because people do not want right now to have a lot of people around. So, and I think something that Seema also mentioned about, and we're also witnessing that as well.
Great, thanks so much. Yes, that kind of reinforces what, both the hotel partner and the booking channels are saying. So there is some synergy there. I'd like to bring in Priya at this point. Priya, they're saying domestic travel, pivotal role, exclusivity, smaller setups. I think it's a great time for you to have taken over. Amma Stays and Trails, because what do you feel? Is domestic leisure really going to write your story for the homestays? Do share a little on that.
First, thanks Ritu, and thanks Web for inviting us out here. Yes, it's the right time to be here in this specific segment, homestays. And I must thank my organization, which has had the foresight to have gotten to it. We started it last year. And the market that we really see is all the Indians who love traveling abroad. So I know a lot of people travel for work, but people have a travel bug now. And all those are the individuals that would like to be moving and seeing their own country, hopefully now. And I think our homestays, our luxury homes that we have a big opportunity, as Seema said, because people are looking for residences. People are wanting to stay in their private spaces, social distancing, and just having their own team, which is taking care of them. So this is just the right thing to be. The other is, of course, we're also seeing that, it was not just the leisure traveler which is coming to us today. So we've had a month of operations, which unfortunately got closed down again, and hopefully are opening again next week. But we had a lot of people who wanted to work from home. So they want to come to a place like Coorg and work there, and they want to be with their family. They had their extended family visiting them over the weekends also. We had people come down for the XCOM offsites. So there's a different profile that's at least started coming to what the homestay market considered to be like a little bit not so up market in the country, and ready to pay that kind of money. As Seema said, that, it's a luxury leisure. People are ready to spend the money just because they're coming to a trusted brand. There's a safety. Hygiene is a big factor. And yes, technology is a big factor. So today, some of us have moved our houses just to make sure that we were in the right space to be able to connect properly. And that's a need of our customer today. So while they're looking at quaint places, we need to make sure that they're connected well through Wi-Fi and other requirements. So it's hopefully at the right place and gearing to grow and become bigger now.
All the best on that. Homestays is exciting, I have to say. Hope to see you in one of them there when I travel. Okay, Nirupa, you being an owner of now 12 hotels, 12 hotels, but existing and upcoming ones, and a mix of mid-scale and upscale, mid-market, upscale. Who, in your opinion, do you see starting to set the ball rolling at your end? Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for that, Ritu. Am I audible?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
Yes, so for us, basically, while we have hotels across various segments, I think the most important thing for us is getting this fear business out of people's mind, right? So revival obviously will just depend on that, and whether that means a cure, vaccine, whatever it is, that will be the primary indicator of when the revival will happen. Apart from that, they always say hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So with that in mind, we are prepared for an 18 to 24 month upheaval in the industry. And also, it's very hard to say, because if you look at the 2008 financial crisis, the real effects on real estate was seen only in 2010. Like hospitality didn't take a huge beating in 2009, and real estate also didn't take a huge beating then. It was in 2010 that the real estate industry took a beating. So it's really hard to say right now. But we are preparing for a 24-month haul, and hopefully things will be fine by then. That said, we are expecting actually because most of our hotels are in business markets. I think the two markets that will revive first are essential business travel and luxury leisure. Because as Seema and Ritu perhaps mentioned earlier as well, that people want their privacy and they want to make sure that all the sanitation and safety measures are taken, and that typically is done with the luxury hotels because they have the ability to spend that much more on such facilities. So we actually see essential business travel and the 5 stars first picking up. In some cases, obviously, mid-market will also pick up for those who don't have the budget for long-term stays in a 5-star hotel, and luxury leisure and all in the domestic market. I think international travel will definitely be a secondary market for us to take on.
True. So I think we're all pretty much agreeing. There is, of course, domestic leisure and essential, essential business. Kadambini, closer to home, right here. What do you see happening? Who are your guests? And do elaborate a little on the side of what's happening on dining. What would you advise some of the people watching us, the audience today? I mean, how do we reassure them that, you know, yes, things are opening up, and what all can they reach out to you for? So let's hear a perspective where you actually run you know, a upscale luxury business hotel in the heart of a IT setup.
Good afternoon, all the powerful women. Thank you, Ritu and WEF, for inviting me to this forum. So, you know, I just have to highlight one thing. Traditionally, if you look at it, you know, our service, and especially in India, was very high touch service. You know, that's what was expected. And also that's what even like, you know, we used to take pride on that, you know, look at it, that now the way we deliver. But what is going to change post-COVID, as Ritu mentioned, is in terms of technology, right? Technology would be key in terms of bringing and that contactless experience and reducing the touch points. So like, you know, to mention a few things which we have implemented is digital menu. Now there is a fear of touching the menu. So what we have done is that we have a digital menu. You can just, you know, through the QR code, you can order the dishes, and instead of having a buffet, our teams have, you know, been trained, and, you know, they customize the experience for you, and accordingly they deliver. Second thing is also when you are, you know, checking in, checking out in terms of the payment gateway, it is all like digital payment. It's not that you really have to, you know, with if you want, you can make through the digital payment. Contactless check-in. So if you see, we have customized the hotel in terms of bringing the new normal. So there is sort of a glass barrier so that, you know, even the guests feel much safer, and our associates also. Critical is we all talk about social distancing, but how do you implement that in the hotel? So we have looked at, you know, we have reduced the seating capacity by 50%, and we ensure that we do follow that social distancing, because it is important that, you know, how the customer also build that trust. And we have seen that, you know, with that trust, they, you know, we have been getting the repeat customers because they feel it is much more secure, hygienic, you know, from whole dining experience. Important is you cannot deliver this just by making the cosmetic changes. Important is how do you train your associates, because the training is critically important, because they also have to display those you know, skills in front of the customers. So we do have regular trainings with our associates, because safety, security, cleanliness, and everything for the guest and also associate is very, very important. Another thing is, which I wanted to highlight, is in terms of, you know, we have identified 200 high touch points in the hotel. We ensure that those touch points are disinfected regularly, so that, you know, in terms of any infection or whatever it is, at least you are able to control it and curtail it. Right. I mentioned about no buffet at the moment. Once probably things get slightly better, and I think Nirupama mentioned, you know, after the vaccination and all this, you know, there would be a comfort level, then we would implement buffet. But our highly trained culinary team will still not miss on the guest experience. We customize it and we deliver it. So that's what the endeavor has been, that, you know, how do we deliver that customized experience? And without high touch points, you are able to still build those memories.
Right. I'm going to, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. But yeah. I'm going to try and bring Ritu here. Ritu, you know, I mean, I really like to understand. I mean, there are the hotel operators and, you know, the sub brands are trying to put all these practices in place. Is there any data, or does your online platform tell you that all is this what the customers are looking for? I mean, is this all really, or are we just, we're trying to do everything, but are we really hitting the nail on his head? I really like to know from your perspective, what is your the person coming on a booking.com looking for?
Totally. So let me just, you know, mention some data here as well, because we are a data-driven company and digital platform. So, you know, if you look at booking.com's global business, we had 40% domestic, and which has now moved to 70% domestic globally.
Wow.
And if I look at in India, we were anyway higher than this number. So a very large part of our business is becoming domestic. So, as some of the panelists already mentioned that. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that since the time, as I mentioned, that we have launched different kind of safety measures, and these include hotel partners clicking these safety measures in the form of social distancing norms, or what are the self check-in, as Kadambini also mentioned. We are seeing that more and more people are looking at these before they are making their reservations. So traditionally, there were three things that we used to always say that people look at before they book a property. One is the photos, and the other was stayed reviews. And booking.com has millions of people who come and they review the hotels. These things have become even more important in today's time, that what are the people who stayed in the past are talking about it. And now the third dimension is that how many people are looking at these safety guidelines as well. So I think, absolutely. Third thing that I do want to talk about is that, near home travel that we're seeing more and more now, and so, we have something that we've launched called staycations. So people can literally, be in their home city and go next door just to enjoy facilities of hotels, so that, you get out of your daily chores that people are doing now, and totally fed up of staying at home. So just to go and enjoy, facilities of hotels and so on and so forth. So yeah, totally. I think the data is suggesting that these are some of the things, and at scale it's happening as we talk.
Okay, so good news, Kadambini. What you're offering is also what everyone's looking for. So I guess we're all in the right direction. My next question is actually going to be to Priya, coming back to homestays. So everyone's saying small is beautiful, and exclusivity and that privacy and that little niche place is all going to, really is what's going to drive the, the growth story. So I really like to understand, what do you see is the future of homestays in the new normal of our country? Can you share with us, I don't know, data, or would you like to share with us what you believe is going to happen in, as a trajectory of homestays?
Ritu, this is actually not a market which has got so much of data, because mostly homestays in India especially have run by individuals. As the name goes, homestay. And maybe we are one of the first to actually bring in this brand of a branded homestay or a branded villa in India. But if you see abroad, it's obviously like what we've been speaking about, where we see a market for ourselves, because the luxury traveler is the one who likes to stay in these exclusive places. So there is a huge demand for it. As we opened, we are very small right now, and we realized that we were going almost full when we were open. And as the states are opening, the travel is opening. Why is the customer really coming to us? And that's where I think Kadambini was coming in. That they're coming to us because they see that this is a place where I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm going to a branded space. So they're not comfortable just going to a homestay. The homestay, how is that person maintaining it? So if you have the name of IHCL, you have the brand name of Tata's, they feel far more comfortable that yes, the right team is there. And that's something that's come back as feedback to me, that Priya, your team's been doing a fabulous job. I was scared that I wouldn't serve the guests on the table now. And we're so used to doing service. Right. But here guests actually appreciated the social distancing. They appreciated the sanitization that was being done. So if she's saying we've looked at all these touch points, our guests are happy to see that being done, because we don't know what is better. We don't know that, if we don't do this, will I get the virus? If I get the virus, will I survive or not? These questions are not answered. At the same time, we want to go out. We want to travel. We're all pent up inside. So this is a good space we're in. Yes, like Ritu was talking about staycations, we've come up with drive holidays. And of course, we're doing it at very competitive prices, because we want the customers to come to us and they're loving it. They don't want to go out anywhere. Today, it's not about those Instagram moments on those selfies happening anymore. Everybody just wants to meet up with the family. They want to bond. And
Right.
they're just happy that they could do something which was more normal than sitting at home in front of MS Teams and talking to their teams or their bosses. But also another market which is coming up for us, we haven't got it yet, but yes, we're seeing it in our hotels, is the small weddings, because that's a small
Right.
number of people who can come. And we see that as a potential also for us, because all those small segments would like to come down. They want those exclusive spaces. You have a lovely large villa which has got a 5 to 10 rooms, and you can be staying there. Technology is a big factor for us. I'm finding it tough because we are located in quaint places. But yes, we're all meeting up to it, and I think we wanted to revive ASAP. We don't know what tomorrow is, but it should work out for us.
Great, all the best. I'm going to jump to Nirupa because I'm just wondering, the Brigade Group has actually witnessed rapid growth in the real estate industry, and you've come up with these exciting hotels. But do you think travel and tourism is changing for good or worse? And do you see, after a little of what we're hearing today, I mean, would you still consider hotels as an asset class worthy for investment? And what would your advice be to investors in the audience?
Yes, it's a loaded question.
Yes.
So, I mean, I must say that, as a real estate developer, hotels have always been a tough asset to sell. I mean, every time we go to our investor roadshows, they're always questioning us on why hotels, because obviously they're heavy in capital investment, returns are generally in single digits. So it's always been a tough asset class. But ever since, the REIT market kind of opened up, there seemed to be some light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
And there was a lot more interest in, and we had a couple of IPOs in the hospitality space. So ever since that happened, there's been interest in the hospitality market. In fact, we were on the verge of raising funds for a hotel portfolio, but obviously that got literally it was just on the verge of happening, but that got put on hold post-COVID. And, I can't blame the investors for that. Today, we are getting potential private equity investors who are primarily invested in distressed assets, So they want to invest in hotels, but on what will you base it on? There's no EBITDA multiple that, you can base your valuation on. And these distressed asset investors never want to pay you for the replacement cost of a hotel.
Sure.
So it is going to be a tough market. That said, there is always, depending on where you are, like if you can't repay your debt and you are in a very desperate situation, there will be distressed asset sales happening. But the hope is that, and this I primarily see for a lot of independent hotel players, maybe smaller boutique players. But I think if you're a larger company, you'll find a way to sort of manage your cash flows because we do have moratoriums in place and things like that. That said, most developers who enter the hospitality space, we're in this for the long run, right? You don't build a hotel for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, right? You build it for 40 years or 50 years or whatever it is. So, and I think this is, whatever said and done, this is a blip in those 40 years, right? Okay, it might last 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. But post that, I do see a resurgence in the hospitality space. I do think it's going to be extremely tough for the next 2 years. If it happens, if the resurgence is sooner, great. But I do think post that there will be a resurgence in the hospitality space because nobody is going to be building hotels if they haven't started doing so in the next couple of years. So even for us, we have 6 more hotels under construction. Wherever we have external commitments like an outside investor or a private equity player or a joint venture, we do plan to continue developing the hotel. But if the land is owned by us and there's no external commitment, then we want to put that on hold and obviously see how quickly the market shows some signs of resurgence. So I don't think it's, I think this is a blip in the market. I mean, few things will change, obviously, in terms of sanitation and health standards, just like it did with the airlines post, 9/11, right? Sure. But apart from those lasting effects, I think there will be we will see a boom after 3 years or so.
In continuation, I'm going to just follow up a question here. What are your views on repurposing of existing hotels, or especially new supply? Do you see norms in India making that possible? And I mean, what is your advice about using these hotels for co-living, student housing? to share a little on that. Have you, as Brigade Group, our real estate companies, considering something like that?
So currently what we're all doing is just sort of scrambling as much as we can to see what sort of revenue sources we can get, right? Whether it's from F&B or whether it's, right now the only business available is F&B. And then from a rooms perspective, it's, you know, flights from Vande Bharat mission or chartered flights or quarantine business or I think Priya mentioned workations. I don't see much staycations happening, but definitely workations in the cities. So we're scrambling for whatever room occupancy we can get. See, people can potentially sell. I think we've seen it in Bangalore before, where people do sell one floor of their, you know, hotel as office space. I'm not a big fan of that because I think, like I said, I quite feel that after 2 to 3 years there will be a big bounce back in the hospitality space because, first of all, supply is not going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. So when the bounce back happens, the hotels with rooms will see, I think, good, healthy occupancies. So I'm not for that. I'm not for selling off office space. I mean, hotel rooms. But I think if somebody came and said, we'd like to rent a floor of yours for our staff, I'd be open to that. And if it was a short-term lease for say 1 year or 2 years, I'd be open to that. I think that would be a good alternate use of the space. Co-living, again, the whole concept is, I mean, again, we're open to offices taking spaces for their co-workers as well, which is happening in a small way. But the current business that we're getting, I see it as interim business. I don't see it as the long-term business that we can expect because the rates are not there. Because the rates that we currently are getting are just 50% of what we are used to. But because our occupancies have taken such a huge beating, we are sort of managing with whatever we get.
Correct. I mean,
Ritu, can I add a point on just segments before we move to the next? And because, you know, booking is in a very peculiar situation where, you know, we have 140,000 listings of, alternative accommodation. And we have, a very large number of hotel partners. So we're seeing very interesting mix on both sides of the business. So while there are green shoots, and I did mention about, domestic travel and, alternative accommodation picking up, but I think India is still to see the luxury of hotels. And while there are these, we see green shoots happening, I think a large term or long-term, not long-term, view still needs to be weighted for and see, okay, which direction will it go to? So just wanted to add that piece before we move on to the next section.
Great, thanks, Ritu. I'm going to move to Kadambini again. Kadambini, tell me, guest is God in our industry, right? In hospitality, and we're doing so much around guest, and guest comes first. But, I'd really like to see how we are balancing the whole, requirements of business with human touch, and human touch in terms of now employees. In these times of uncertainty, what memories are you creating as a leader for your people? Are they getting the same message that, we're not only going out of the way for our guests' safety, hygiene, but our workforce and teams matter? I want you to briefly give me some thoughts on that.
Ritu, if you look at it, I mentioned before also, if, associate is, very, very important. And, to get that, motivation of the associate also is highly important and critically important in our business, because those are the one who are in front of the guest, and they are the one who deliver and bring those everlasting memories. And even in terms of now new normal, right. If our associates are not able to display that in front of the guest, and also, how they are also, sometimes you have to also educate the guest. It's not easy, you have to be polite, but also you need to tell them this is what is expected part of the new normal. So, we have been in last 4 months, it's been a huge learning for us also, because, when you talk about in the month of April, our associates had that, fear in their mind. They felt, what's happening, because we had such long stay guests, and, they were also thinking, are we doing the right thing? What is required? But, how we have been able to achieve it is, firstly, trainings. Very important, our Marriott drive on commitment to clean. We have been reinforcing that with our associates. We also, as leaders, you have to walk the talk. We have been able to, even showcase in our behavior so that the associates follow it. Third thing is that motivation. Because currently, I think Nirupma mentioned it's going to take, you're not seeing many guests in the hotel, and ours was a very, very busy hotel. To even keep that motivation on, we keep having team building activities so that every win we celebrate. It's all about celebration, and so that they feel connected. They feel that they are adding something to the hotel. So those are few things which we are trying to implement. Another critical thing is on the wedding guest. We have started seeing weddings coming back to the hotel. And when it's 50 people, because currently you can't have more than 50 people coming for the weddings, but everyone comes with a different mindset. So our associates have been very polite, but able to communicate that what is expected, part of the new normal, and we have been fairly successful in that. We have got huge appreciation from all the weddings which we have had, and we have been able to get from those more of a repeat business.
Great. Thanks, Kadambini. I'm now going to move on to the more exciting part of this conversation. I'm hoping for the general audience here. We have a lot of young professionals, entrepreneurs in the viewership, and I'm going to now touch upon women leadership a little. Seema, please tell me at a time like this, and what do you think women are being able to bring to the table, which is different from how other leaders may have dealt with scenarios like this? Or do you feel better equipped as a lady to sometimes handle these crises? And what is visibly working for us? I'd be excited to hear a little more on, more in the dominated C-suites, are things changing?
Thanks, Ritu. And, things are definitely changing. And I guess to start with, what we bring to the table is firstly, these wonderful smiles, even in times of duress, like you see on the screen, right? So it kind of brings a bit of calm. I'd say, every company today is trying to be as diverse as possible. And that's not just restricted to gender, let's say, age, race, any kind of factor that's at play. So, but primarily bringing it back to women leadership, I think we bring a very balanced perspective to the table, empathy and care, while also, dealing with the operational, tactical issues at the same time. Not only just looking at safety and hygiene. We've all been saying, how that's becoming such an important part of the offering, but also looking at the overall experience. What is it that the guest is going to get with the same amount of care that we used to provide even previously. So I think in terms of just that perspective, bringing in a very different, so any kind of diversity will allow you to look at things with different kinds of lenses, right? So I think that helps. And on your question on how we do it better, I think we manage crisis on a day-to-day basis anyways. So
yes,
but I'm proud to say actually,
workplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We try and wear multiple hats and do a good job of it. So I think at this time of crisis, that's probably going to come in more handy.
Yes, and
but
I guess
what I was
just going to disagree on this panel.
Absolutely.
But anyone has to say on that. Yeah, but I'm going to see Nirupa here. We don't see too many women in the C-suites, and you play the role that you play. Is there something that one particular characteristic that has helped you do what you do and do it so well?
I think the biggest advantage women have is their ability to multitask and compartmentalize a bunch of things, because I think, and this is not me just saying it from a women's perspective, I think it's scientifically proven as well that men are not able to multitask as well as women. I think women are able to switch between tasks a lot better. And like, for instance, with me, that really helps because I oversee retail, office, and hospitality. And honestly, out of that, retail and hospitality, there's a lot going on. Those two are two of the worst affected sectors. And you have to speak to, I mean, every 15 minutes you're changing what you're doing, right? And I'm actually still on maternity leave, so I have my 5-month-old. So in the middle of changing diapers, you're talking to retailers or switching off and then discussing your finance and your debt repayment schedule. So I think the ability to multitask is, I think, a blessing in times like these.
Pivotal factor. I would
just on that, Ritu, like you were saying, that it is actually, we see there is a growth, but there is still there's huge amount of room from growth. What I was going to actually say is that Preferred, I'm actually proud to report 50% of our senior executive leadership is actually women folk, including our CEO, president, our head of marketing, head of PR. Yeah. So it is a very, very diverse culture. And like Nirupa was saying, it helps bring in that sort of multitasking ability to the table as well.
Correct. Priya, I remember Tata's being pioneers with anything to do with women. Some of these stories that we've heard of Tata leadership across their various businesses. Something that stands out in the current times in terms of, what they've been doing in terms of, employee focus, any initiatives that, come into your mind which are different from what's happening otherwise?
So I think what Kadambini said, yes, a lot in terms of employee engagement, which is happening across in hotels. But what's special about a Tata company is, I'm not saying others might not be doing it, but I just feel that I think a little more for us. So we actually have a helpline which has been created because we all realize that, people were sitting at home. A lot of times we're all getting into some sort of thinking process because we're in closed rooms, we're not in those open spaces. We've been used to meeting all our colleagues and our guests. We were actually, whoever's in this industry is an extrovert. And suddenly that person's been confined to a space. So we've come out with a helpline, which is a one-on-one helpline, which any employee can reach out to. Okay. And this could be any help they needed. So this was done pretty early. And I think I haven't used it myself because of the grace of the Lord, but I think a lot of my colleagues have, and we've really appreciated that. The other is this MS Teams has been like a brilliant thing. Yeah, like I'm able to connect with my staff, which is in all remote locations. So we started off with meetings and just having conversations, and today we're having cooking competitions, we are having singing competitions. So, we were all used to, and in hotels, we talk a lot to each other. And this is like our family. So reaching out to everybody, and that's where the HR teams played a very pivotal role. L&D team has played a very pivotal role. It's not just doing trainings on MS Teams or teaching them about safety and hygiene, but we've been given an exposure to a plethora of various courses that we would have not done otherwise. And we've been pushed to close it. So I've been super busy because while you've been trying to do work, you're also being made to do intelligent courses. It could be on finance, it could be on sales and marketing. And at different levels, different courses have been done. So it could be a tie-up with TMTC, which is our Tata's management training center. So I think a lot's being done. Of course, as an organization, you all know, we have been catering to the doctors and the migrant workers. We've given over 2 million meals. We had the doctors come and stay with us. So that was from a social point of view. And employees, I think we all feel, I feel great. I've been finishing 30 years with the organization, and I'm really grateful that I've stayed on, and whatever thoughts came earlier to leave were wrong.
Okay, we're at the fag end. I can't believe 40 minutes have flown by. We could go on. I thought this is becoming interesting. I'm going to have one last loaded question for Ritu. Ritu, this one is actually coming from the fact that online is going to be the future, and what we've always seen and is that there's OTA and then there are hotels, and somehow the balance of how do we actually make sure that the approaches OTAs are taking in today's times are not cutting into what hotels are trying to achieve, because the goal is really common, right? So really, how are you being collaborative in your role towards hotels, because it is one and the same cause?
Thanks for asking that question, Ritu. Extremely helpful. Let me start with that.
Right.
So
we only have a few minutes. I'm sorry.
I will take very less time on that. But I think as we see, our hotel partners are in the forefront of delivering world-class service. And I think as a technology platform, what we do is we communicate that to our users. So we are the biggest demand generating platform for a lot of our partners. And I think there is no segregation in terms of, if it's a large hotel versus a small alternative accommodation sitting in some remote part of India. So I think it's really similar. So I think the first is around how do we generate demand for our partners across India. That's one. Second thing is that all these services that everybody mentioned today, starting from health and safety to having flexible policies, for our users to understand, or from disseminating the reviews that all the wonderful guests that have stayed in the hotel or alternative accommodation have talked about in the past. All those things have become so important, and at the heart of great collaboration that we and our partners come together and do. One other thing that I would like to mention is that how technology is going to play a very, very important role, because, gone are the days where when I fire up the app and I get to see zillions of accommodation types, right? So we are trying to personalize. So our entire booking funnel is, machine learning and personalization, where we know that what users are looking for, and we show similar kinds of, information to them that really matters to them. So to me, I think it's a perfect partnership, whether it's, the largest chain like Marriott and Kadambini is here, or it's, homestays, or a villa, or, a boat house sitting somewhere in Kerala. I think that's what we are doing. And just one last point that I would want to mention is that we have also come up with rebuilding together, because we feel that it is going to be not one company or not one industry can beat this crisis. It will have to be all of us working together for the same cause. And we have a program called Building Together, and there are multiple teammates to it.
Great, thanks so
much. I
wanted
to add one thing, because I had worked very closely with Ritu in my previous role with sales and distribution. Just, this partnership is so important, and a lot of initiatives which we did at Marriott, it was important that also goes to booking.com. And we had worked on some strategic partnerships together. So it's like, it's a relationship which works together.
I'm glad that, we've cleared some air here, because it's always seen at loggerheads, and good to see that if big chains like Marriott and Booking.com can be collaborative, I mean, that's the only way to take us forward. Ritu, while you were on this, there's a question that's come for you, and I want to just, I think you kind of answered it. Gitanjali, thanks for the question. It says, has Booking.com especially, does it have plans in some way, especially the unbranded homestays listed on your website, a CSR initiative maybe, as they are without any bookings since April? I mean, have you got the question? Has Booking.com some plans in supporting homestays listed on the website?
So maybe I can just have a broader answer, and maybe Gitanjali, I could separately touch upon this as well. But as I mentioned, we have the largest supply of, homestays, hostels on our platform. And I think the way we have come back, so the first thing is that, I don't know if I can term it into CSR, but I think as and when the demand picks up, and what is our positioning to capture every bit of that demand. So that's one thing that we're relentlessly working with our partners, with the industry, with the government, that what are the things that we can do, that as and when there is, resurgence of the first speck of demand, what is our ability to pick that up? So that's the first thing. Second thing is making sure that what users are looking for, guiding every homestay, every partner to make sure that those are the things that they are starting to show on their platform as well. So we do run a CSR initiative, but that's more towards sustainability, because as I mentioned earlier on as well, that, this lockdown has actually taught us the impact of our actions on the nature. And so Booking runs a booster program that actually, so far we have already given over €1 million in the market, just so that, there is more sustainable initiatives that come into the country, and we're able to sort of deal with the global climate change that's happening.
Thanks, Ritu. I think that was well answered, and it is reassuring for the smaller, partners to see that there is some support there. Sandhya, thanks for coming on. We got the message. It's time to wind up. I think what you could do is announce the awards, and if I have a few minutes, I'll give some closing statement. Otherwise, we can close on.
Yeah, I'm afraid the discussion was so interesting that we did not want to interrupt earlier. Not be left with much time. You might have 30 seconds. But yes, it is my privilege on behalf of WEF 2020 to confer the awards on all these beautiful panelists, esteemed speakers. This award is for leaders who are pioneers in their professional endeavors with a distinctive voice and vision, and whose expertise and spirit continues to guide the next generation, the current and the next generation, because all of you are so young. So yes, it is an honor to announce the Exceptional Leader of Excellence Award on Ms. Priya Vishwanathan, Ms. Ritu Mehrotra, Ms. Nirupa Shankar, Ms. Kadambini Mittal, Ms. Seema Arora, right? I got that wrong?
Seema Roy.
Oh, sorry. Yes. And Ms. Ritu Chawla Mathur. Thank you so much, everyone. And
please, a round of applause.
These awards will be sent to you as a
It's only us.
Sorry?
I said we can only give an applause to us in this digital world. So please, a round of applause by each one of us.
These awards will be sent to you by email, a soft copy in the current scenario. Shortly, within a week or so. Thank you once again. Ritu, you want to make a couple statements? You have 1 minute more.
Yes, I have a minute. I'm just
going to eject us. Thank you all.
Thanks, Sandhya. Thanks so much. So ladies, I think just to sum up, I mean, the situation is pretty fluid now, and it's going to, it's still unfolding, is what I understand. But the most important factor for revival and resumption of travel, of course, will be the vaccine. The sooner it comes, the better. Opening up the skies, global borders. We're still seeing state borders not opening up. And, the confidence that hotels, airlines, etc., are able to create in the mind of the end users. And of course, the extent and frequencies of lockdowns. We still haven't seen the last of lockdowns, right? So as long as all of this happens, there are going to be travel restrictions. Social distancing is here to stay. And all I can say is let's fasten our seatbelts and prepare for the resurrection and revival of travel and hospitality, knowing very well that we're in good hands of these women and the helm of things. So thank you, ladies, once again for being part of this very enriching panel. I really enjoyed this afternoon, bringing out various global perspectives from each one of you, as well as what's happening in and around India outside. And it was, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And thank you for being with us once again.
Thank you all once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing, if anybody would like to get in touch with you, I'm going to say, I'm sure you're open to hearing from people. So please, please feel free to reach out through me if you'd like to connect with any of the panelists. Thank you so much, ladies. Bye-bye.
See you. Thanks.
Thank you, Seema Roy, specifically because I got the last name wrong.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sandhya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.